This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop about research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared from our students, faculty, and other members of our USC community.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Viterbi Voices. My name is Paul Ledesma, Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And hi, everyone. My name is Emily Powis, and I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering.
Well, this is a fun little episode for those of you that have been following along this summer with NBC show College Bowl hosted by Peyton Manning. You may have noticed that out of 12 teams, one of the best teams in the entire competition throughout the entire run of the show was the USC team. And if you were paying attention closely, the USC team was captained by one of the Viterbi School of Engineering students, Karan. And we took the opportunity after the whole show wrapped up to sit down with Karan and have a little conversation about his experience in creating Quiz Bowl, a Quiz Bowl team at USC, and then that Quiz Bowl team being turned into this College Bowl team, and then him being chosen as the captain of the NBC show. It is a super exciting little conversation about our little Hollywood star, right, Emily? I mean, he's all Hollywood now, right?
Yeah, like what I loved about this interview was number one, his answers were just like really interesting, but also he came into the interview with like sunglasses on, so he looked super cool the whole time. And Paul and I are like hermits in our house. Like I'm underneath like 5 blankets right now, so it was cool to talk to him and also just hear about like what Quiz Bowl is and how, like, I don't know how much like time he's dedicated towards these like bee style like trivia games.
Yeah, it's really cool. If any of you have any type of interest in trivia, or you're involved in high school, like academic decathlon or any other type of like quiz type trivia experience, this is a really cool episode to take a listen to. I don't want to ruin too much, but if you've ever experienced the spelling bee or the National Geographic Bee, any of those things, you're going to enjoy this conversation. I will give you a heads up. Karan is super cool, and we're not making fun of him by any stretch of imagination. Just super cool guy wearing sunglasses. He was casual out in the Equad during this conversation. He's outside, and so the audio is a little less than normal, and so I apologize for that, but I think you're going to still be able to follow the conversation just fine. But just as a heads up, be ready for the audio to be a little bit lower on his end, and we'll get out of the way. You can listen to Karan talk about the USC team that took it all the way to the championship at the NBC Capital One College Bowl TV show with host Peyton Manning. So let's listen to Karan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I don't know whether we've actually physically met in person, but I've seen your name multiple times.
Oh, really? Yeah, we've definitely met in person, like, especially like when I was attending orientation here for the first time. I've definitely run into you a couple times. Got
it. Well, it's good to see you. And by the way, is this what happened? Our listeners can't see this, although we might want to put a screenshot of this up. Are you all Hollywood now that you've been on a TV show, that you just sit outside in your cool shades?
Exactly. I think that's the point.
That's definitely it. No, you don't have to take them off, man. I'm not trying to make you self-conscious. It's looking sweet. Basically, I'm jealous. I'm inside, and I wish I was outside like you were. It's really good. Karan, hey, man, it's great to see you. It looks like everything's going really well for you. And I am so excited to talk about this whole experience that you have kind of taken over gosh knows how long. I want to get all the details. But before we do that, could you introduce yourself to the listeners? Maybe tell them a little bit about yourself and where you're from, where you went to high school, all that jazz.
So my name is Karan Menon. I am a third-year computer science major. I'm minoring in applied computer security from ITC. Originally from Edison, New Jersey. I went to J.P. Stevens High School. So yeah, I came all the way across the country. And I think other than that, in my free time, I'm really into trying new foods, going on hiking, and listening to music from all around the world.
That is awesome. So coming all the way from New Jersey, how did you find yourself at USC? What was that college search process like for you? A lot of our listeners are in high school. They're in the middle of that right now. So if you can, I know it was long time ago, but if you could remember back and tell us how that process went for you.
Yeah, I think definitely like California is a big change of pace from New Jersey. New Jersey is like a lot more fast paced than it is out here. But I think I really liked LA and the USC community as soon as I came in. It's like a really like, even though our school is pretty big, it's pretty tight knit, and of course you can't beat the weather. And I think I really found myself here at USC by involving myself in the community here. I think one of the main things that I did was I started a quiz bowl team my freshman year, and we qualified for the national competition, which was great. And I really found, and I used to attend a lot of like trivia nights at Rock and Riley's in the village. So I think those events really helped me bring a community, and also like gave me a good foundation for College Bowl later on.
That's awesome. Were you always involved in trivia kind of going through high school? Was that kind of your thing? Or someone people did not want to play trivia games with you?
Yeah, I've always been like a trivia guy, a walking encyclopedia, as some friends like to call me. I think my journey really starts when I was like 4 or 5, and I started competing in my first geography bees, some local geography competitions over there, and I ended up winning the 2015 National Geography Bee, but run by the National Geographic Society. And then in high school, I was like, yeah, let me broaden my horizons, regular trivia, the history, and here I am.
What is the geography bee? I mean, I'm imagining spelling bee, but for geography, is that the simplest thing? Because this is something that's new to me, and I saw on your Twitter bio that this is a big part of your background.
Yeah, so you can imagine it's like the geography world equivalent of the spelling bee. Unfortunately, the National Geographic Bee isn't as popular, but it did have like about 5 million contestants every year from around the country. Like you would start your school, then you would win your state competition, and then you would go all the way to the national. So it was a pretty big deal. It took a lot of preparation to get there. Unfortunately, National Geographic has made the decision to permanently discontinue the bee, which is something that I'm not very happy about, given that it's something that's made a big difference in the lives of so many people. But yeah, like it definitely was a major part of my life.
I even competed in the geography bee at my high school,
Really?
my elementary school, like very low level. It was like mandatory. You had to go. I always did super badly, but I'm surprised you've never heard of it, Paul, because that was like such a big part of my elementary school life.
No, I haven't. Now I want to learn more about that. Well, now I can't. It's gone. It's gone now.
So the competition is gone, but you'll still see like articles and videos of the beast. So you can look at 2015 National Geographic Bee. You can watch my whole video from my 8th grade days.
All right. Well, yeah, that's definitely what I'm doing this weekend. I'm pulling that up on the TV.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. So how did you find yourself, given that you've always been such a trivia person, how did you find yourself studying computer science?
So like as a trivia person, I have like a lot of different interests. Like obviously, like I think geography is probably my most pronounced interest, but like I like reading about literally everything. And the thing that I like about computer science is that like it's a tool that I can apply to solve any problem, especially with AI ML, which is where I want to go to. It's like the future. I can apply machine learning to geography problems. I can apply it to healthcare problems. So even though like I do have computer science as a foundation, I could still like learn other things and then combine those disciplines together and solve problems. So yeah, I really like I've used computer science as a tool which I can use to solve like global problems.
Awesome. Very cool. And so you came to USC and you started a quiz bowl team right away. Is that right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And tell us what that process is like. What does the quiz bowl team do at USC? This is an involvement that I'm assuming others can just jump into and join your team now?
Yeah, so we are a registered organization. People can join. The way Quiz Bowl works is that like it's a buzzer-based competition, just similar to Jeopardy or College Bowl. But the way it goes is that like the moderator will read these like long paragraph style questions. So they'll start with a really hard clue, And as they go ahead, they'll go to like a really easy clue at the end. And then both teams are like vying to buzz in as quickly as possible and get the point.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's pretty like competitive. There's a major like feeling of rush that you get when you're playing, but it's a lot of fun and you learn a lot in the process.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I didn't think about this till right now, but imagine Emily and I are competing, and you're the Quiz Bowl master right now. Can you give us a couple questions that we're trying to guess the answers to? Emily, you ready to compete?
Why do you have to do this to me, Paul?
Let's see, because you're the geography bee whiz from elementary school. Let's see what we can
I told you I was really bad.
Well, it doesn't have to be geography. We can do whatever we want, right, Karan? So, Karan, we're in your hands. Any questions you can come up with that maybe you remember that you can see if we can go for?
Sure. So quiz bowl questions are really long. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some like regular trivia questions and see if we can get them. So
I'm in.
All right.
How do we buzz in? Do we just say our name or do we just say the answer?
So whoever says their name first, I'll call on you, and then you can give your answer.
Got it. Okay, go for it.
This is not good. Paul is too competitive for me.
I'm very competitive.
Let's start with the history question. What U.S. president had the longest term of any U.S. president?
Paul.
Okay. What's your answer?
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Good job. That's correct. Awesome.
And a full name, by the way. Extra points for the full name.
Extra points for the full name.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's go to geography. This will be a little bit harder question. What is the most populous county in the United States? The most populous county.
Oh my God, I don't know. Most populous county, meaning the most people inside that county.
Inside a county.
Most people inside that county.
There are no negative points, so go ahead.
Okay, Paul.
Buzz in if you.
I don't know what the name of the county is. It's whatever county New York is in.
Oh, that is incorrect. New York is actually in 5 counties, but none of them are the top.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say Los Angeles County.
That is correct. Good guess.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yay.
All right, tied up, Emily.
Okay.
Tiebreaker.
All right. Here's a science question. Which Russian scientist is considered to be the godfather of the periodic table?
Oh,
or the father of the periodic
Emily.
table. Okay, good. Emily, your buzz.
Mendeleev.
Yes, Mendeleev. That's correct.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool.
Look at that. You won, Emily. Way to go. And hey, points to Karan for coming up with
Emily.
random questions on the fly, man. That's awesome. So Emily, you need to join Quiz Bowl team, it seems like.
Oh my gosh. I feel like, so I was watching actually the championship earlier this week with some of my housemates. And it was kind of interesting because there are like 8 of us, and like collectively among us, we knew like maybe like 50% of the answers. We were like, oh yeah, we're like so smart. We got this. And then I was like, wait, this is 3 people that know all of the answers, which is just so crazy to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. I think it was pretty tough for us too. There was a lot of questions that we did not know. But I think what worked really well with our team is that all 3 of us have like our strengths and interests, and like when we combine those interests together, we were really strong. Like for me, I think history, geography is my strongest. I have like some random knowledge here and there. I think Brennan also has like a bunch of like random knowledge in different places, and also knows a lot of things, but her specialty is pop culture. She's a cinematic arts major. So like we had the academics down, we had the pop culture down. So yeah, I think our team had some really solid chemistry.
So let's back up a couple steps. We're jumping because you jumped straight to the finale. Thanks, Emily. But let's go a little bit back, a little bit more to you have a Quiz Bowl team at USC. And for students that might be at USC or find themselves at USC, they can join it. And then what's involved in being part of Quiz Bowl? What happens there?
So Quiz Bowl is a very open minded club. Anyone can join. Like if you're interested in joining, you can go to USC Quiz Bowl on Instagram, click the link in bio, and then fill out that form, and then we'll reach out to you with the details of our meetings and stuff. And in meetings, what we'll usually do is we'll instruct our new members how Quiz Bowl works, like what's the format, or we'll also give them experience of like buzzing in, because that's something you need to get comfortable with. And then we get right to the questions. Every session we'll read a bunch of Quiz Bowl packets which have these topic questions are the ones that go from difficult to easy in terms of the difficulty, and then there are also like bonus questions in Quiz Bowl where you can collaborate with each other. So yeah, we run through these types of questions. It's really about building the strategy, seeing like who's strong in what category, and also like um, building the team chemistry over time, because that's really important. Like when you're in such a high stakes competition, it's really important that you have an understanding of like what each player wants to do. And ultimately, we look at we try to balance out our teams, and we send whoever's interested in we send multiple teams to these competitions that occur across Southern California. And I think this semester, because of COVID, we're gonna largely stick to virtual competitions, but I'm excited to get back into in-person Quiz Bowl again.
Who do you guys compete against?
So we compete against like pretty much every California school. So like UCLA, Berkeley, San Diego, Stanford, Claremont colleges, all those schools. And then some UW and like some of the Canadian teams here and there. So yeah, it's a lot of different highly competitive schools.
That's awesome. And you said that you right away qualified for nationals. So I'm assuming that every time you compete, you're gaining points, or is that something that you do separately?
So like each tournament is like different. So there are many different types of Quiz Bowl tournaments, but I think in college Quiz Bowl there are two main national championships. There's ACF, and then there's NAQT. NAQT being an organization that runs high school and middle school Quiz Bowl as well. So we actually won the Southern California regionals for NAQT in our freshman year. And because we won that, we were able to qualify for the national championships, which were in Chicago, but then COVID struck and we weren't able to go. But I'm definitely looking forward to going some other year.
That's awesome. And how did Quiz Bowl turn into this TV show? And I want to make sure that maybe listeners don't know what we're talking about. So I'll give like a brief kind of description of what I think of what I saw, and then you tell me how it all happened and what happened. But basically, over the summer and culminating in just a bit ago, maybe a week or two ago, the finals, there was a TV show on NBC hosted by Peyton Manning and his brother. Is it Cooper?
Cooper.
Yeah. So he and his brother host this show called Capital One's College Bowl, and essentially taking this Quiz Bowl type format, trivia show format, and taking 12 universities from across the country and have them compete in a tournament. And I don't want to spoil where we go with this, but basically you guys did very well. But let's stop there. And how did you go from having your Quiz Bowl team to having you're on a TV set, or a TV show set, like you're filming a whole show here with celebrities? What happened?
So let me backtrack a little bit. Let's give some context about
Sure.
what College Bowl is. So College Bowl is actually a competition which has a lot of storied history. Back in the 50s, after World War II, the military decided to have some like trivia competitions for their military members, and it quickly became this really big trivia show on channels like NBC and ABC. Like it was massive from the 50s to the 80s, and it was like the first major quiz show for college students. And this modern competition of Quiz Bowl is directly inspired by College Bowl. Like they wanted to take the competition that was in this television format and make it into something that ordinary college students could compete in across the country. But then what happened is that the College Bowl, the original College Bowl, it died out, got discontinued. And then NBC decided to bring it back this year. And what happened is the recruiters were reaching out to these different schools to see if they could find people. And I think they naturally came to me and Brendan, because both of us are on the USC College Quiz Bowl team. And they reached out to us via Quiz Bowl over Instagram, and then they were like, we're running a new trivia game show, fill out these forms, interview with us. And then one day they gave us a call. They're like, yeah, you're selected for the show. But like when we were auditioning, we had no idea like what this competition was going to be like, who was going to be on our team. Like we literally found out about all this information when we flew into LA last March for the filming.
What was the audition process like?
So basically, like, first they had us like fill this questionnaire with a lot of personal questions about ourselves, and then they had an interview, which was like more personal questions. But then they also had this like trivia test with 50 questions just to see like your knowledge base and all. And yeah, that was pretty much it.
Very cool.
So are you saying that, so were you able to create your USC team, or did they like, were there multiple USC students and they just chose you three?
Yes. So, I really don't know what happened behind the scenes at NBC, but I know a bunch of my friends applied for this College Bowl show, and then what happened is they randomly picked the three students who appeared on TV, and we also had an alternate student
Mm.
who came to LA with us as well. Her name was Asher. She's not graduated, but yeah, NBC was the one who organized the team. They're also like selecting me as captain in specifically.
Oh,
Oh wow, they
that's super
selected you.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that. Huh. So you got the magic touch. You got the face that sells the school, man.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. So you take your team, you're now captain of the team, appointed captain by NBC. And you said you didn't know what was going on until you kind of arrived. When was this? Well, I'm just curious on the behind the scenes stuff. When was all this filmed?
So we were here in LA, in downtown LA for 2 weeks. So they flew us out in February, and because like COVID cases were a lot worse back then, they had us quarantine in the hotel and they tested us every 2 days. And then the first week of March, they actually took us into the studio a couple of days and we filmed our episodes there.
Wow, cool. Where did you film? In downtown, or are you guys in Burbank?
It wasn't downtown. It was like this LA Central Studio. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it's
Oh,
like between downtown and USC.
that's awesome. And so you walk into, I'm so curious on, like, you're now a television star. Like you walk into the studio, and what was that like? Did you got to meet, I'm assuming you got to meet the Manning brothers, and I'm curious what they're like. They seem like the nicest guys in the world.
So it was a spectacular experience. I remember walking into the set for the first time. I really like the set. They had this whole like classroom vibe going on, and there were like these bookshelves with like random books and like globe, and then there was a random um bust of Abraham Lincoln on the walls there. So I liked it. It was like something we got to explore
Yeah.
in the breaks and everything as well. And as for the Manning brothers, you would like, even though they're like massive celebrities, they're actually like really nice people. Like in during all the breaks and even before and after the episodes, they would come, um, they would approach each of us. They would remember our names and they would talk to us. And yeah, they're really humble, really sweet people. So I really enjoyed like getting to know them over the course of that 1 week.
That is great. That's really good to hear. And you had 12 total teams that were competing in this tournament. And you guys, how many matches in total did you guys have? Four?
Yes, we had four matches.
Yeah.
So I think the first round it was like the 12 teams had there were like six of those 12 teams, and then from there they chose the top eight. So they chose like and there were like three episodes, and then they chose like the top finishers from all those episodes. And then there were a couple of wild cards, which included Colombia, who would end up to win the competition. And then from there on, they had
Yeah.
a quarterfinals, and then a semifinals, and then finally the championship match.
That's awesome. And who did you guys compete against in all of your competitions? Do you remember? I know it's a while
So
ago.
in our first round, they really wanted to exploit the rivalry, so they had us against UCLA in the first round,
Yeah.
and that was an exciting game. The first game against UCLA, um, it was pretty tight. They were leading ahead, and then finally in the last round, we were able to power ahead. And then based on the seedings, we actually got placed against UCLA again in the quarterfinals. So we had a
Right.
rematch. It was a more decisive victory for us. And then we moved on to semifinals, which were against Alabama, and then finally against Columbia in the final round.
So beat UCLA twice.
Yes.
Just want to be clear about that. That was the clear statement that came out of this, that faced UCLA twice, beat UCLA twice, and then went up against Alabama, handily beat them. And then going into the final, you're up against Columbia. And USC, your team that you led, USC's team, was the highest scoring team in the entire tournament going up into the championship. Is that right? How do you feel about
Yes,
that?
we were the highest scoring team. And even if you add our final points, I think there's only like a 15-point difference at the end. So technically, we still would have the highest points of the entire tournament. But it was pretty exciting for us because I think initially like we started off at like the fourth seed and then we moved on to the second place and then the first place. So we were like gradually like moving up. We were actually the only team that was undefeated going into the championship. So like there were a lot of like there was a lot of support on USC side, which was amazing. But it was also like quite nerve wracking because Columbia was like comeback squad that came from like being a wild card to being in the championships. So it was a really exciting battle of the coast as they termed it.
Yeah, they also you guys started out your championship match against them. You were winning in the beginning, so they even came back against you guys. So they just kind of were the Cinderella story throughout the championship.
Yeah. We were leading. They came back, and then there's this round called the 2 minute drill, which is basically the round that counts the most. It's like they have this category. They read you as many questions in the category as possible within 2 minutes. Answer as many as possible. I think I did really well in that round. It's just that like Colombia, they moved really fast, and they already had like a slight advantage in terms of points. So yeah, they ended up winning in the end. But it was a pretty neck and neck game. I think I made a couple like silly mistakes here and there, but I had a lot of fun, and I'm just really proud that we made it that far.
No, it's great. Emily, did you notice Karan's pretty competitive, just like me, that the multiple points he's described throughout the competition where he says like, well, even though we lost, we had the most points of anybody. And by the way, we're the only ones that were undefeated actually going into this whole thing. Like you see there's little moments there.
Very important things to recognize.
Absolutely.
This is kind of weird, but so like I'm a competitive climber and I'm just kind of thinking like climbing is a very niche sport and quiz bowl is kind of niche too. And I was wondering, like, do you guys like warm up before you like have your rounds? Like, because it's obviously super nerve wracking. Like, I don't know how I would handle being on such a large television show.
So actually, what happened is like the episodes themselves are like 1 hour, but like the filming process for one episode would take like 4 to 6 hours sometimes. So,
oh my gosh,
wow.
Like they would take us to the studio early morning. They would spend like an hour just like determining what our wardrobe would be. They actually bought like a bunch of USC apparel for us to wear, which was really nice.
Oh my gosh.
And then they would have us in a waiting room for a long time. And I think that's where like we were able to like mentally prepare ourselves. Like we were taking naps, we were just like talking together, cracking jokes here and there. Like we weren't really like studying or practicing trivia, but we were just really like making the most of the moment and having a good time together. And I think that's like what really got us like calm and in the zone for the actual game.
Awesome.
Yeah. And is there like, so in the climbing community is pretty small. So like when I go to these competitions, I always run into people I know. Is that kind of like how it was at the quiz bowl, like competitions and at college bowl? Like, did you recognize other people on the teams?
Oh, good question. So I think quiz bowl is also is a pretty tight knit network. Like I think because of all these competitions, I know people from all over the country, but it's still like a pretty vast network. So I actually did not know anyone coming into the competition except for Brendan because he was on the quiz bowl team. But even like Anne, I was meeting her for the first time as well. So it's nice like getting to meet people from your same school who have like similar interests as you.
Yeah, it's cool.
When you look back on this, you talked about like mistakes that you made. Are there certain questions that are just popping up in your head right now? I remember this is a side story. Like I remember a friend of mine was on College Jeopardy, I think like a long time ago. And she still remembers to this day the question that knocked her out was like, who broke the land speed record? And so like consistently in her head, Chuck Yeager like comes into her head over and over and over again. And it's kind of this running joke whenever we see this person, we're like, Chuck Yeager. So is that kind of haunting your memory right now on questions that you didn't get right?
So I actually got 2 questions incorrect about Barack Obama. So I guess for my next trivia competition, I had to read more about him. I think in the final match, there was like a question where we got like 3 books and then we had to choose which book was by Barack Obama. I think the answer was The Audacity of Hope, which I've never read, but definitely going to give that a read sometime. And then I think the other question was like, it was talking about like a sport that like Barack Obama like set up a court for this sport on the tennis courts of the White House, and I thought that tennis courts that's pretty the nets are similar to volleyball, so it's probably volleyball. But then it was basketball. Yeah,
basketball.
like he's really famous for playing basketball. So I guess that was like a silly mistake on my part.
I would have guessed pickleball, so at least you were closer.
That's what the UCLA people guess.
Oh, don't you're thinking like UCLA, Emily. Come on now. Come on now. Okay. Well, so awesome stuff. The championship, we end up losing to Columbia, but you did very, very well. Again, most points all the way through. Is there talk for another season of this next year? Or do we know? Is this just kind of like done now? Or how did NBC and you all leave it?
So yeah, NBC makes the final calls, but like I think the decisions to renew the seasons are based on like the ratings and the number of viewers.
Yeah.
And I would say like College Bowl already had a pretty disadvantageous spot. We were placed at 10 p.m., which is quite late, and we were right after America's Got Talent as well. But even then, we had like over like 2 to 3 million viewers for each episode, which is quite impressive. I think a lot of the gurus in the entertainment industry say that College Bowl is coming back, but we'll see. It'll be really exciting if they do bring it back.
Yeah, I feel like you have redemption on, like you got to come back and win it. You got some rematches you got to take a hold of, right?
I don't know if they'll bring me back on College Bowl again. If they do, that's amazing. But if not, I know USC is full of a lot of really bright students, so I have no confidence that USC is going to win the whole thing someday.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I was thoroughly enjoying all of the social media buzz as each episode was coming out. I mean, like USC was tweeting and posting about it. Like you were jumping on board. That had to have been exciting to be kind of like a mini celebrity in the moment.
Yeah, there was a lot of buzz, and it was just really exciting, like seeing the amount of attention that we were getting. And it was really nice seeing like the USC accounts also like having some fun, and they were like posting some rival tweets against both UCLA and Alabama.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really funny to watch, and I think in general there's been a lot. I was really like impressed by and grateful for the amount of support that I got from the USC community as well as outsiders. Like there were a lot of posts going up on Reddit about us, and some of my former professors, they reached out, they were tweeting, and I even saw your tweet as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
It really like makes me proud to be a Trojan. Like really makes me feel like I'm part of a family here.
Well, you are, man. And it was so fun to watch you all take this team kind of all the way up to the top there. It was really exciting. And I think, I mean, just being there in general, it would have been making everybody proud. But the fact that you took it all the way to the championship and fought really hard was super exciting. And so I loved it. I thought it was fun. I am super, super excited about what might happen in the future. And I think it's just kind of cool to get that name out there and to talk about USC in a completely different fashion, specifically what maybe a lot of other engineering students may think about as something to A, get involved in, and B, like, look how cool it is. It's all of a sudden you're a Hollywood movie star now, or a TV star, I guess.
Does this help with like your recruiting for new members in your org? Can you be like, oh, we were on NBC's College Bowl, like you should join our team? Yeah,
so actually a lot of people have reached out to me on campus. They're like, yeah, you're the kid from College Bowl. And I also tell them that, and they're like, how can I get involved? And I say that I run the Quiz Bowl team at USC. Awesome. You can come and join. And I've also been posting like information about College Bowl on the USC Quiz Bowl account on Instagram. So like if you wanted to tune into the show and what was happening with USC specifically, that was the place to go. And I think that helped our team as well, because it helped create buzz around the Quiz Bowl team and also like the students at USC who are part of this effort.
Very cool. I have one last thing I want to close out with you, but Emily, do you have anything else that you want to chat with Karan about?
No, it's so cool talking to people about like their little like interests and passions at USC, because I feel like every student has like something that they're super passionate about that's totally like off-brand or totally different from engineering.
Yeah.
So I love hearing like what you like to do and how like every student has something like that, and how your team went like literally to the highest level.
Totally.
Which is awesome.
It's funny. We get this question so often, like, what's a typical USC student like? And I'm like, there's not an answer to that question. I mean, this is a great example of that, is that there's so many different types of people doing so many different things. That to me, that's one of the coolest parts about USC.
Yeah.
And I think like my message to people in the Turvy in general is that like engineering is really exciting. Like you guys are going to be like the future scientists and technologists of tomorrow, and you're going to do huge things. I'm sure of that. But that doesn't mean like you need to make your life fully engineering. Um, I think I think it's important and also very possible to pursue an interest in other fields. And um, I I don't specifically even look at it as taking time away from engineering. I would say like having these other interests can actually enhance your engineering, gives you like a wider perspective of the world. And like if you want to be the people who solve problems of tomorrow, who solve like those grand challenges that we wrote about in our application essays, then I think it's really important to know about humanities and all these other subjects together. Like I think it makes you like a wise individual. It's always great to have perspective and experience in other disciplines.
Yeah, I can't agree more.
That's a great note. My last thing I want to end with you, Karan. Not a quiz set of questions, but a bunch of questions that we've been doing a few times with some people that we're interviewing called lightning round. Okay. So lightning round question. First thing that pops in your head, I've got about 10 questions for you. You ready? Okay, here we go. Start the lightning round. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Favorite city in the US besides the one you live in?
New York.
Nickname your parents used to call you?
They call me Karania sometimes.
Okay, awesome. The last song you specifically went to your phone and like searched for to play?
I would say Fountains by Drake. It's on the Certified Lover Boy album.
Oh, look at you, right on trend. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Speak every language in the world for sure.
All right. Favorite holiday?
Navratri. It's like this Indian festival which has this big dance celebration called Garba. I love it.
That's cool. When is it?
So it's like a 9-day festival. It usually happens in September, October. So it's actually going to be falling during our fall break.
All right. It's coming up. Yeah. How long does it take you to get ready?
Like depends on my mood. Sometimes like 5 minutes, sometimes like 30. It really depends on the energy.
Wait, did you say the difference was 5 minutes to 3 minutes?
To 30.
Oh, to 30. Okay. And then what's the mood that triggers it longer? Good mood or bad mood? Like, what do you mean depending on your mood?
I would say like depending on like whether I'm sleepy or not. Like,
got it. Understood. Yeah. Okay. Scale of 1 to 10. How good of a driver are you?
8.
8. Okay. Fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is
a throwback classic.
Whoa, throwback. Wow. At what age do you want to retire?
So probably like 65 from like a tech job, but then I kind of want to like do something fun like teaching after like I officially retire. So I don't know. Maybe I'll work the rest of my life.
Okay. Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility. I like being stealthy.
Okay. And final question. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No.
All right, buddy. Hey, man, you were great. I really appreciate you being here and doing this with us and also letting everybody know about opportunities at USC. And again, congratulations on taking the team all the way. Really appreciate it. You really made everyone at USC and the Viterbi School proud. And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thankful for the environment I have here at Viterbi, and fight on.
Fight on, buddy.
And we're back. I was just wondering, Paul, this is random, but
sure.
Have you ever considered doing trivia? Have you done it before?
Trivia. I mean, so I like trivia and I feel very confident in trivia because there's just my head is randomly filled with random things. And for me, it's probably about it's a coin toss. It's a 50-50 experience of when I do trivia, whether I'm really good at it or really bad at it. It's just like where the gears line up, you know, like what the questions are versus what I happen to know. Like with our little trivia test, like I was really confident. And then there's a question. I'm like, oh yeah, the periodic table. I don't know anything about that, but you did, right?
I feel like he was kind of lowballing it to me, so I'd win. I don't know. I think he was just pulling off of his head. I love like there was back in the day when I had a social life, like pub trivia nights. Those are super fun. And I know a buddy of mine
and I would always go to a trivia night. And our point of pride was that we didn't have a team. It was just the two of us, and we would play against teams of 10. And it was always like, would we get into the final? And we won one night. And I still hold on to that because it's just the two of us and we can pull in some random knowledge. So we have a good alignment of our gears and random, US politics, US history, probably a better subject of mine than like science, for example. So I think that was evidenced in our question of FDR versus the periodic table.
Oh yeah, definitely. My history is lacking. I like history. I just don't remember the names, which is a big part of it.
Got it. No, I'm in on it. And I think that has to do with when I was a kid. I remember Trivial Pursuit was a kind of a common game that my parents played, and I always wanted to be with the grownups. Like there was always like kids doing things in the other room, and I was like, oh, let me play Trivial Pursuit, and I never knew the answers. And so I think it was a constant like, I'm going to know these answers. So I think I probably worked hard to be stubborn and try to memorize Trivial Pursuit questions that were by no means anything I should ever actually, know. But I love trivia. I think it's a fun thing. Yeah. Do you play trivia games at all, like with friends, or like do you have any like stuff like that, game nights?
Well, for SD Outfitters, I'm membership director, so I have to put on a bunch of membership events.
Got it.
We recently did our first social, which is super awkward to plan. I'm trying to plan something that's like going to be as least awkward as possible.
Yeah.
I ended up doing a Kahoot trivia that was all like outdoor national park themed. And I think it went really well, honestly.
No.
Like people had a really good time and everyone was in like little groups and stuff. And some of the questions were really funny. So I thought it was
here's a trivia question for you. Who started the national park system? Which
FDR?
US president? No, Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, okay. I was somewhat close.
You were close. It was a Roosevelt. They were like cousins, if I remember correctly.
I should have just said Roosevelt.
Yeah, but then I would have said which one, because it's a very distinct question.
Yeah.
Come on, that was in your wheelhouse.
Actually, that's so easy too, because Teddy Roosevelt, like, I know that is Teddy Roosevelt. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So good times. Yeah. I was looking at, oddly enough, this morning, I was going through our Microsoft Teams thing, which, a little bit of admission here. I'm not comfortable in Microsoft Teams. I'm really trying to get comfortable. Do you use Microsoft Teams at all?
I use the Planner. I don't know if that's the same thing.
Yeah. We use Planner, right? And together we use Planner as well. But MS Teams is something entirely different because, we're on Slack and we're on Zoom and we're on Planner, and supposedly in a perfect world, MS Teams brings it all together. It's clunky to me, and I'm really trying to figure out how to figure it. I'm trying to figure out how to use it. If anyone out there from Microsoft wants to jump in and give a tutorial, one, A, that's great. B, you shouldn't have to give a tutorial on software. It should just work.
Remember, I don't know if you had this, but I remember when I got Slack for the first time, I actually got it because I worked at a climbing gym when I was 16 and they used Slack, which is actually really like fast thinking for a climbing gym.
It is, yeah.
But I remember being extremely confused. It did not make any sense to me for so long.
Yeah.
And it has a big learning curve that I think a lot of people are like,
it does.
Slack has overcome USC this semester.
It does. Yeah. I mean, we started using Slack, I don't know, a long time ago because the VSA was saying, hey, we should use Slack. I forget what year that was. Anyways, I was playing around with MS Teams and they have like these little add-on apps, and one of them is trivia. So like you can have your like meetings and throw trivia into the meeting inside of MS Teams. I thought that was fun. Completely unrelated to this episode.
Yeah, that reminds me. My dad just got a Tesla and he's super into it, but
Which
has
model?
Random. Oh, I'm not a car person. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's smaller.
It's smaller. Okay. So
Yes.
it's like, it's the smaller one.
Yeah.
Like it's a Model 3.
Okay. Yes. But anyway, he loves all the little add-ons. Like there's a fireplace mode. There's like a Santa game. There's like this one where you can put like a fart cushion on each person's seat. Yeah. Whoopee cushion, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so fun watching him nerd out about those little add-ons.
You have no idea, when we got our Tesla, I still to this day just play with it nonstop. And what's fun about it is that each software you become like extremely obsessed. I'm obsessed. Well, first of all, when I ordered it And then when I got it, I was obsessed with the Reddit boards. And I had this like insight into what high school students do on Reddit when they're like looking at college applications. Cause like you have no insight into what's happening with Tesla as a company, like when you're going to get your car. You're just, it's like a black wall. But you have people guessing, you have people like trying to figure out whether you're going to get here, there, whenever, when you can approximate your delivery date. And I was totally like a high school student, like on Reddit every day, like seeing updates, who got cars, where'd they get cars, how did it happen? And I'm still checking in on that Reddit board every once in a while. And it's mostly just like people excited about ordering their car and getting it. But what's great about it is that we should tell your dad is that he's going to get obsessed with software updates. Like, when's the next software update coming? Because every time a software update comes, something new will start to appear in your car, some sort of new technology. At bare minimum, it's always like updating stuff. Like I remember a couple of months after I had my Tesla, my range, with a software update, my range increased overnight. Like, oh, you get 15 extra miles. There you go. Because it just, they increased their efficiency of however it was running. But you know, recent ones, like you can, all the streaming platforms, like they just added Disney Plus onto the streaming platforms. You can watch Disney Plus while you're sitting parked, and new games. My daughter loves it when we go somewhere and we have to wait in the car because she goes, oh, I can play a game. And so she jumps on to like Fallout Shelter, or she jumps onto, I don't know, the drawing game is always fun. There's a sketch pad thing.
That's fun.
Sometimes we'll play like little games inside of that. And then all the noise effects are very, very fun, and getting good at using them, especially when you can use them outside your car. Has he done it outside the car?
Oh, my dad's really shy. He would never do that. I once tried to do it as a joke, and he was like, no, stop. Like, stop right now. Like, I don't want to see the consequences of having
it was great. I used something, I can't remember. I think it was the La Cucaracha sound, like da, 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 like that. I had to pick up my wife. Like my wife was at like a friend's house for like it was all the wives, all the moms were having like a dinner. And McKay and I went to go pick her up, and we pulled up, and they're out on the patio. And so I pulled up and I went, da, 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 da. The whole neighborhood turned because it was super loud. And the best part about it was they all come out there going, and I could just hear my wife from the patio of our friend's house going, oh my God. They're like, what was that? I'm like, oh my God, that was my husband. Oh my God. As I totally embarrassed her. And the best part is that people are walking by this neighborhood, like we're in Hermosa Beach and these houses, and this guy goes, was that your car? Sweet, man, way to go. Like everybody was loving it, and she was embarrassed. It was phenomenal. So your dad definitely needs to do that. It's a total dad move. Got to embarrass the daughter or the wife with loud noises.
I feel like my dad's go-to. So my parents are super outdoorsy. And so like my dad's go-to is like whenever we're hiking or in a national park, like we'll be just doing our own thing, and he'll come up behind me, like grab my shoulder, and he'll be like, what are you doing? And he'll like pretend he's a park ranger.
Oh, got it.
That was like his go-to.
That's his go-to.
So he's like, stay on the trail, or like, I don't know, stuff like that.
Well, he's got to look into taking the Tesla camping now, because now you can hook up tents to the back, and you can use camp mode, and you can be in air conditioning and sleep all night.
Oh, that's really fancy. Yeah. We've been living in squalor compared to that.
No, it's great because it's got the 50 amp plugins at most campsites. So you can plug in the car and charge it overnight, put in camp mode, and it keeps the car like air conditioned at a certain temperature all night. It's fantastic.
Oh, cool. We'll have to do that.
Yeah. And then Googling all the like Tesla like stuff you can buy for the, it's a rabbit hole, man.
I shouldn't give him this idea.
You shouldn't have triggered me to talk about Tesla, because I can go on for way too long, and it's way embarrassing.
I see a similarity between you and my dad right now.
It's addicting, and it's to the point where like we're looking at, oh, should we get a second Tesla now? Like, what's our next car going to be? I think it might be a second Tesla, and I'm totally in on that.
Nice. Also, I think this has confirmed that you would definitely like the Peloton, because my dad loves it too.
Probably.
And I think, yeah.
I just don't like cycling. That's not a thing for me.
Too. They have yoga on the Peloton.
Yeah, but I do that already with my Fitness Plus on Apple.
Yeah, it's true.
Which, by the way, you can't see it, but I think one of the reasons I'm super tired right now is because I did a really hardcore HIIT workout yesterday that was like, I don't know, 1 million squats, and like squats into jumps, like squat jumps.
Oh, yeah.
And my legs today are like killing me. I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm very achy, and I'm such an old man. It's not helping.
Yeah, I feel you.
You're like, no, you don't. I'm like, whatever. I'm young and pliable, and I work out a lot, and it doesn't hurt me at all.
No, I feel this actually reminds me. A couple of weeks ago, we had our first climbing team practice, and I coached the Tuesday practices, and I put this core workout that's called 5-minute core destroyer, and I did it for a whole year. I would do it every day for like 40
5-minute core destroyer. How can
it's
you
5 minutes straight and then 5 minutes off, and you can repeat it as many times as you can.
Okay.
And so like I did this for a year. I started off doing it just 1 time a day, and that was awful. And then I moved my way up to doing it like 8 or 9 times every day.
Wow.
And I would do it during Zoom class and stuff. But yeah, I haven't done it in a while. But I like caught all the climbing team people up there, and we had 70 people at our practice.
Wow.
And they're all new to climbing. And I was like, all right, we're going to do this workout. It's called 5-minute core destroyer. It's like super chill, like no worries at all. And everyone just died, including myself. It was so hard. And I was like, dang, I totally.
I love how you call it. It's 5-minute core destroyer. It's super chill. I'm like, well, why do you call it a core destroyer?
Well, I got it from this other workout, and that's what it's called. So
I know. I'm just saying, like, you're trying to talk it down a little bit, and like you can't. You call it a destroyer. Do you ever go to Center City here by
Center
LAX?
One? Yeah, I've actually been to Center City.
Like, or is that what it's called? Center One? I don't know what it's called.
So the gym is called Center One. Also people should just look this up. It's really cool. But the gym is called Center One. It's in LAX. And then there's a place called Center City. That's like the kids area.
Yeah.
And during quarantine, it was closed, but my friend worked there. So I climbed there, and we would warm up in Center City. We would just do crazy stuff. We'd be the only people in the gym, and it was so much fun.
It's so cool. We went for a kid's birthday pre-COVID, and I had forgotten about it because, of course, everything shut down. But now it's like, oh, I wonder if that's back open. And I remember
I think it
walking.
is.
Yeah, we went to the birthday party in Center City, which is the kids area, and I climbed it. I thought I had a good time. Like, I went all the way up. I looked to the actual climbing walls, and those are intense. Like, they're huge, like the upside down ones. And
you saw my world. That's what I love to do. That's what
you love. That is nuts. I can't imagine doing that at all. Like, I just can't. I mean, maybe it's something I have to try, but I remember getting up one, and my hands got sweaty, and I slipped.
That's why you got chalk.
Yeah. So that's the thing you have to get used to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of working out, goat yoga. Remember, we had multiple conversations, multiple episodes about goat yoga. I don't know whether I brought this up, but I had a mom, and I remember this mom follow me on Twitter for one of the info sessions, and I'm not on Twitter right now, so I can't remember her name. But I remember her following me from one of the info sessions. Turns out she's been listening to the podcast. Turns out she listened to our podcast about goat yoga, went to Twitter because in the podcast I said I put a picture up, and she replied to the post of the goat yoga picture saying, I'm just here for the goat yoga pics. And I was like, oh my God, I could see this whole journey. Because I remember when she came in for the info session. I remember when she followed me. I guess she's been listening to the podcast. So hi out there who came to Twitter for goat yoga. I probably should have had it up so I could say hi to her actual account. But she was listening and went to the Twitter account, like followed it all the way across to check out the photos of goat yoga. So we've got some hardcore listeners out there.
We were not joking when we said this would become a goat yoga podcast.
We are back. We're back. All the way back. All right. Well, wow, we took this long and in multiple directions. And of course you triggered me on things that I just love talking about that no one else loves hearing me talk about. So thanks. Anyway, I hope you're having a great week, Emily, and I hope to see you sometime soon. And I hope all of you out there are having a great week too. Let's get out of the way, and we'll see you all next week. Or I don't know, we're putting out how many episodes per week now? I shouldn't say next week,
2.
Next time. Yeah, Emily's killing it with our podcast producing, 2 episodes per week, and we've got so many lined up.
We have too much content. It's good.
Me too. It's a good problem. See y'all.